Hey, thanks for dropping by to the Planners on Purpose podcast, created by Naomi Tucker, CMP. Now, this space is for the event planners to encourage and empower you so that you can fully live your life on purpose. So before we dig in, please take a moment to subscribe so you get future shows. Now, here she comes, your host, Naomi.
Well, hello, this is Naomi. I am excited to be here for another episode here of the Planners on Purpose podcast. And I am glad that you're here with me. Thank you so much for clicking the button to be able to listen. Thank you so much for subscribing to this podcast. I can't do any of this without listeners, so I'm really excited to have you here with me. Today, I want to talk about winning from within. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I think there's just a lot that occurs on the inside of us that helps what we see on the outside, which is how we perform on our jobs and the relationships we have and all of those things. What we see on the outside of us really starts from within. It starts with what we think about ourselves, what we feel about ourselves, what we come to know about ourselves. And I want to spend a little bit of time there because many of the times we take ourselves for granted. Many of the times we don't give ourselves enough credit. And many of the times we diminish what our full potential is. And that's very important. And I think in order for us to realize that, is to really reflect and to go within, right? So if you're one of those people that don't want to reflect and really look within ourselves, then, you can go ahead to your next podcast. But I do want to spend a little bit time here. Now, I always think about, when I think about being kind of introspective, one message always comes to me that I've learned from many years ago. It has to be 10 years ago. I was listening to Erica Ariel Fox, and she wrote this book, Winning from Within, which is a really great book. So I always love to drop books. So definitely want to give credit to where credit's due. So Winning from Within is Erica Ariel Fox's book. But Erica breaks down kind of these executives in your suite, right? So what that really means is kind of these 4 faces of yourself internally that you can categorize into 4 different areas. And it really helps for you to look at yourself in a different way when you go through this. So I want you to definitely play along and go along with me. And it also helps you to manage what your performance is, your performance gap per se. And what that would be is where you are now in your performance, in your work and life, and then where you want to go in your work and life. In between that, between what is and then the expectation of what is a gap. That gap isn't good nor bad. That gap is just potential, right? And so when we look at that, it allows us to also take a look at, these are areas that I might want to be able to set a goal so that I can move toward what that anticipation is of myself. So I really want to go through these 4 with you, and I hope that you definitely come along with me on this ride. So there are 4 executives in your suite, or 4 faces within you, right? So we're going to think about them as the dreamer, which is your inner CEO, the thinker, which is your inner CFO, the lover, which is your inner VP of HR, and then your warrior, which is your inner COO. So those are the 4, and I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into every one of these and really tell you maybe some of my takeaways from these 4, and then also you can come up with your takeaways as I explain them. So we're going to start with the dreamer. So like I mentioned, the dreamer is your inner CEO, and this is, let's say, that part of you that creates all the possibilities that you have for your life, This is a visionary inner CEO, right? Always seeing what's ahead, always sensing what that path forward is for your life, and also gives direction on where you want to be focused on and what path, and not only path, but the direction in which you want to walk your path forward. So that would be what the dreamer is. And some thoughts that you might be thinking here is like, is there a dream in me? Is there something in you that you have left behind? Because sometimes as we're working and we're working very hard and we're getting these events out the door, we're traveling to the next place, we're shipping our boxes, all the things that we need to do. If you have those specific dreams that are in you and they go unchecked, what happens? Many times they will diminish and diminish and diminish. And then you will find yourself 10 years later doing the same thing. It still may be good, but some of those dreams that you had 10 years ago, nothing has moved. There's no needle that has moved. So we always want to make sure that we know what the dreams are that we have for ourselves, that we're always open to the possibilities, that we're open to alternatives, and really just know exactly what those are. So how do you do this really? For me, and during my mornings, I think I've shared this with you, is that I love to be introspective. I love to either listen to devotionals or read devotionals. I do also love to journal, whether it's in the morning or in the evening. Sometimes I do both, depends on the day. You have to find your way of really bringing that thought of the dream, right, that you have for yourself, that vision, and bring it to paper. Just put it on paper or just write it down. So that can be via a journal, that can be via the notes app in your phone, but definitely write it down because you will reflect back to it, maybe uncover it again, and then you can self-check to see, where am I on that dream? And perhaps I've moved directions on that dream. How can I get back on track? And we can ask ourselves those questions. All right. So that is the dreamer, and the dreamer is your inner CEO. Now we're going to the thinker. The thinker is your inner CFO, right? And what the thinker is going to do, because, what do chief finance officers do, right? They're analyzing the data. They're managing the risk. They also are just considering all the consequences of the actions that you're going to take, right? So the dreamer or that CEO has the vision. They're going to go ahead and set that path forward. The CFO is going to say, well, is that risky? Should we even do that? Does it make financial sense? What are going to be the consequences if we take that route? And every phase within you definitely has its own strength, and the thinker has its strength, and it's there to be able to give some critical judgment to the direction that you're going in. And it offers up really great either opportunities for you to have a plan B, plan C, also be able to just be aware of what some of those perspectives are. And it allows you to clarify and to adjust if you need to. So the thinker is a very important phase of you, and you want to make sure that you are aware of that thinker, are aware of the things that it has to say with consequences or how it analyzes a situation, and then write those risks or those things down so that you're able to at least know, in me going forward to this dream or going forward in this vision, there might be some stumbling blocks along the way. There may be some obstacles that I may have to overcome along the way. What are those obstacles? And allow me to be able to evaluate them and to set a plan for what those obstacles may be, especially when you want to make sure that you get towards that vision for yourself. Okay, so that was the thinker, your inner CFO. The next one is the lover, right? Your inner VP of HR. This is like the people, the lover of people, right? The lover cares so much of people. Also, the lover feels all the emotions, right? All the emotions of the thing, manages relationships, and just collaborates with others. So this is your lover on the inside of you. And we all have a lover on the inside of us. And when we think about the lover and we want to make sure that we are instilling human connection. So if you listen to my previous episode, which would have been episode 85, that also talked about an aspect of love being kind of this area on your wheel of life, that you want to make sure that you are establishing connections with other people, deepening relationships with other people. Make sure that you're connecting to your clients in a very human, relatable way. Our clients aren't just always, job numbers. They are humans. They have lives. And as we're doing what we do which is bringing amazing events to life, right? We also have this underlying kind of duty in a way, is to relate and to establish connections with other people along the way. And that could be your clients, and that can be attendees. So making sure that you know that you be in the position that you are, especially being in event planning and being an event professional, you have such an amazing opportunity to connect with so many different people, not just the people in your department or in your company, but others. And that is just great. You can make somebody's day. You can care about others, and that can definitely just turn the trajectory of another person's life. So if you do not have this caring for people, if you feel like you sense a big gap in this area, I encourage you to definitely fix it and to start small, right? Start small. Just ask someone, how are they doing? Remember someone's birthday and send a card. Just establishing some connection. It's definitely going to a lot of the heart of what we do, right? And so when you think about that, and you think about just your team and teams of organizations, right? Their talent, they want top A talent. Their talent is the heart of their business. If you do not have talent that's going to service your clients and it's going to really set the standard in the industry, then you might as well call it quits, because if you're not striving for just caring about people, it really is what makes our world go round. So definitely, I'm harping on it, but I think it's really a good area to harp on, because it definitely is the core of everything, is our heart and the love we have for others. All right. So we're on the last one. The last one is the warrior. The warrior is our inner COO. And the warrior really is, man, I love the warrior, because when I imagine the warrior, I imagine some samurai out there just slaying it. So the warrior is one who they really go out there and slay it. They are the action takers. They are the ones that reach the goal. And then inside of you, that's the person, or the face, I guess, since we're talking about the faces inside of us, that's the one with the face that really speaks the hard truth, that tells the truth, that takes action, and that goes out there and slay it. Now, let me just say, as event professionals, we probably are very heavy in the warrior, especially like event planners, especially one that, those that are in roles that just have the task and they're just checking off all of the things on their to-do list, and they're slaying it, and they're taking action. They're reaching their goal. They're telling the vendors what they want. And especially when you're on site, you're just speaking that truth. This is what was on that event order. We need to make it happen. Yeah, so this is very important to us, and it's good to recognize that, but we also need to make sure that we're having all of these kind of in some relative balance, right? So just make sure you take a self-check on, is my inner warrior am I more warrior than I am dreamer? Or am I more of a thinker, so much so that I'm not necessarily out there dreaming and out there making it happen? So those are some questions that you want to ask yourself. But the warrior really goes out there and kicks butt. I love the warrior. I think that I have friends that are warriors and I have my inner warrior. So I really have like a little place in my heart for the warrior too, because the warrior is what takes, that just performs and just has that grit and goes out there and makes it happen. And I absolutely love that. So those are your four interfaces of you, let's say the four executives in your suite. So I wonder what you think. Tell me what you think about this. Was it a great activity for you? What were your insights? Do you see yourself as more of a thinker? And if so, that is an amazing strength that you do have. And likewise, if you're a lover, oh my goodness, we need a lot more of that love in the world. So every single one of these faces are within you, and every single one of these faces are what makes you you, right? So, and again, this is a really great exercise that I like to do. It isn't the be all end all. There's so many other ways to be able to kind of evaluate our inner selves. But this is one way that I thought was a really great way to really take a look at our inner selves as it relates to our inner executive suite, right? So that is all I had for today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one. And until then, please stay on purpose.
Well, that wraps it up for this episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit the like button and tell us how much you enjoyed the show by leaving a message in the comments. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.